Today, we're talking all about some of the common yet terrible advice that you may hear from doctors, trainers, even dietitians or nutritionists. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Andrea, holistic nutritionist, helping women restore metabolic flexibility and cellular health through rebalancing insulin sensitivity, gut health, and proper detox pathways. In today's video, I am sharing the top 3 worst pieces of advice we've all heard in the world of nutrition. Number 1, everything in moderation. This follows the assumption that all foods, nutrients, and calories are essentially equal. This simply is not true. They're metabolized completely differently in the body, and they're broken down into different molecules. They're stored and used for different things. And of course, some things are just plain toxic or harmful to you as an individual. Scientifically, we know some people are also prone to addictive behaviors, and some who never seem to become addicted to anything. This is why one person is completely hooked on a drug after just one hit, and others can quit cold turkey without any difficulty. The same is true for addictive properties in foods. Researchers have scanned the brains of people following consumption of certain foods, specifically carbohydrates or hyperpalatable foods, and found dramatically different responses in the reward centers of the brain, showing that some people are more addicted to these types of foods. Now, let me back up a bit to hyperpalatable foods. These are foods that have been created by manufacturers to increase desire and pleasure when being consumed. Usually, this involves some combination of sugar, fat, and salt. Food manufacturers make a fortune on these foods because they're literally making you want to eat more. Think about it. Do you ever really crave steak or become addicted to broccoli? No, it's always bread, pasta, crackers, cookies, snack foods. They've been created to cause that. Eating these foods in moderation is only propagating the problem of the addiction. No one would ever recommend smoking in moderation or cocaine use in moderation. Eating terrible foods in moderation is terrible advice for optimal health. We also don't need to eat great foods in moderation, so everything in moderation is not the right advice. Number 2, choose the best diet for you. This is terrible advice because how are you supposed to even do that when the experts can't even agree on what the best diet is? Beyond that, I don't like this advice because I truly don't believe that there is a best diet for all of us, or any of us for that matter. I believe we actually need the opposite of one diet. We need variety. Optimal health comes from the body's constant ability to adapt. If we follow any one plan for too long, we lose that ability to adapt. Just like a muscle will atrophy if we don't work it, and we need variety in our workouts to continually see progress, we need diet variation to avoid what I like to think of as cellular or metabolic atrophy. Cells can become what is referred to as senescent. This simply means that they're alive, but they're basically just loafing. They're not functioning well, just taking up nutrients and space. What we want is to be able to clear those cells out and regenerate young, healthy cells. Diet variation is key. Changing up the macro content of your meals, changing up the schedule you follow, even changing the portion sizes. Add in some fasting days or skip a meal once in a while. These small stressors boost the body's ability to adapt and clear out the junk and the old, unhelpful, potentially damaging cells. And number 3, eat less and move more. It's all about calories in and calories out, right? This again treats all calories as equal. First of all, a calorie is simply a unit of energy derived from breaking down foods. This energy is used in the body in a variety of ways, most of which we have no control over. Our cells use energy to make thousands of new cells every day. to make new proteins, hormones, enzymes, nutrients, to fight infections, and to regulate our body temperature, and to transmit nerve impulses to generate movement, thought, autonomic body functions, and to simply keep us alive. The smallest portion of calories each day that we expend is actually what we have control over, how much we move. A study published in the American Journal of Public Health followed the medical records of obese people for 10 years to assess the probability of an obese person being able to lose weight. Following the advice of eating less and exercising more, the success rate of weight loss in these obese individuals over 10 years was less than 1%. It was only 0.5% for men and 0.8% of women. So more than 99% failure rate following this advice over 10 years. So what does really move the needle with nutrition and optimal health? There are 3 levers: what you eat, how much you eat, and when you eat. What you eat. The macro content, the quality of the food, and the combination of foods all play in. How much you eat is largely driven by hormones: leptin, ghrelin, insulin, and even stress hormones. Whole natural foods that are unprocessed can help regulate these signals so that you don't under or overeat. Processed and refined foods contribute to the dysregulation of these signals, and that leads to cravings, addictions, and an insatiable hunger. When you eat encompasses both the time of day and how often. The time of day has a lot to do with circadian rhythms. Eating late not only interrupts sleep, but also prevents a lot of the detoxification that happens when you're sleeping. Digestion takes a lot of energy, so many other bodily functions are slowed or stopped during digestion. So if you're eating all day long, you're likely interrupting some of these cleanup procedures. And you're constantly keeping blood sugars elevated and therefore insulin elevated, which prevents the body from releasing any of the stored fuels. If you can't tap into your stored fuels, you'll be hungry more often. Again, these hormone signals are dysregulated in this environment.